to Boston National Historical Park at the Charlestown Navy Yard for this day of remembrance of the 77th anniversary of the attack of Pearl Harbor. Can I ask everyone to please rise for the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem. Thank you very much. Please be seated. I would like to ask Father Patrick Healy from St. Francis de Sales to provide us with the invocation for today.
Thank you very much, Commander. Before I begin the very short invocation, I'd just like to recall a member who was constantly here at the Navy Yard. His priorities, the love of God, love of neighbor, who was his family, and then love of the Navy. Commander Bob Gillen. Commander Gillen was born at a very short distance from the old Ironsides. He eventually became captain of old Ironsides, very active in the Bunker Hill Monument Society, and he never missed one of these occasions. He was a co-host with the great work that the park services do, conducting this remembrance service. So with those few thoughts, Bob Gillen, he was a man who loved his country, loved the Navy Yard. He had his office here when he retired from the Navy, and at any affair he could, he would put on his uniform, and last June 17th, right after the parade in Charlestown, he became ill, died a short time afterwards. So we couldn't rest granted to him, and I'm sure he's looking at us today, and I'm sure he was saying that the Apollo Choir gets better every year. Congratulations. So please do bow your heads now in prayer to the 23rd Psalm. It was a favorite prayer for all the men in Vietnam while I was there. Let us pray. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Verdant pastures, he gives me repose. He guides me along right paths for his name's sake. spreads the table before me in the sight of my foe. You anoints my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and kindness follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for years to come. For all those who suffered so terribly at Pearl Harbor 77 years ago and at Hickam Field, say eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father. And thank you so much for recognizing Commander Bob Gillen. It is always a pleasure to have the Apollo Club sing on these occasions, and thank you so much for your singing. And I also wanted to say thank you very much for the USS Constitution Color Guard and our folks on the top deck here. Thank you so much for representing us. Secretary Urena, Commander Schick, Commissioner Sterling, President Grimes-Rand, Fred White, who I understand is joining us from the Massachusetts Department of Commander American Legion, as well as Franklin Van Valkenburg, who is the grandson of Captain Van Valkenburg, who was the commanding officer of the USS Arizona. It is really wonderful to welcome all of you this afternoon, and I would like to thank all of you for gathering with us to remember those who were lost and all those affected by the attack on Pearl Harbor, pushing our nation into World War II. This is a especially poignant time as we just witnessed the passing of President George Walker Bush. As we listened to the speakers and the eulogy at President Bush's funeral, we heard about this man who served his country. Having flown 58 combat missions in the Pacific and having been shot down and rescued at sea, he never saw his own heroism as being greater than anyone else who wore the uniform. He, like so many of his colleagues who returned from the war, continued to give back to their nation, whose values they believed in and whom they fought for. Many of them also committed themselves to public service, and this is how this cohort became known as the greatest generation. As time passes on, this generation of World War II veterans, 16 million at the time of the war, has diminished to less than 600,000. It is why we gather here today, to remember their service, to remind us of what this nation stands for, to be inspired by the acts of the men and women who believe in causes larger than themselves. It is fitting that we gather here on the fantail of the USS Cassin-Young, named in memory of the commanding officer of the USS Vessel, which was badly damaged by Japanese bombs in the explosion of the battleship USS Arizona. Commander Young rapidly organized offensive action, personally taking charge of one of the vessel's anti-aircraft guns. When the Arizona forward magazine exploded, the blast blew Young overboard. Although stunned, he was determined to save his ship by getting her underway from the blazing Arizona. Swimming through burning black oil to Vestral, he was already damaged and about to be further damaged. Young got her underway, beached her, thus ensuring her rescue. In 1942, he took command of the USS San Francisco, and during the naval battle of Guadalcanal, he guided his ship in action with a superior Japanese force, and it was in this battle that he died. The USS Cassin-Young has been in Charlestown Navy Yard since 1978, where she has been maintained as a living memorial to the thousands of men and women who built, repaired, and served on naval ships throughout American history. Within this national park, the Navy, the USS Constitution Museum, and the National Park Service present a story of the past, the present, and our future. We thank you for preserving and supporting these institutions and what they represent. It is American story that is evolving, and we are here today to reflect and to be hopeful for a more peaceful tomorrow. And now it is my pleasure to join me in welcoming Anne Grams-Ryan, the director of the USS Constitution Museum. Anne.
Thank you. I'm going to move us back in time to April of 1844, when USS Constitution began a journey that would carry her around the world. She was under the command of Captain John Percival, better known as Mad Jack, one of the saltiest and best-loved sailors in the Navy at the time. He refit Constitution in Virginia, brought her up to New York, and there they took on the family of Henry Wise. He, his wife, and teenage daughters were going to travel to Brazil to serve as minister to Brazil. So the captain moved out of the captain's cabin, the Wise family moved in, and they sailed from New York to Brazil. And as you know, if you're sailing a ship like Constitution, the fastest way to do that is to sail across the Atlantic with the trade winds, circle back across the equator, and down to Brazil, where the Wise family departed. Constitution had orders to continue to the east coast of Africa, to the eastern coast of Africa, to look after the interests of American commerce along the Mozambique shore, and likewise along the islands of Madagascar. From there, she sailed in support of our trade and stopped in Borneo, looking for coaling stations for the new Navy. In the 1840s, we were transitioning from a Navy of sailing ships to steam-powered vessels. From there, Constitution continued through Southeast Asia. She stopped in Cochin China, or Vietnam, as we call it today, on to the Philippines, and she arrived in Honolulu on November 16, 1845. That's 18 months she had been at sea, traveling the world. The captain's clerk, Benjamin Stevens, described the arrival. It being Sunday when we arrived, we found everything as still and quiet as could be. Not a boat was seen in the harbor, and the very whale ships appeared possessed with the spirit of quietness. During our stay, I had many opportunities of visiting the town. It is about the size of South Boston. Does not contain any beautiful buildings, though the scenery around it is exceedingly grand. It is the great depot of the Pacific for whalers to refresh and repair in. There are about 23 American families residing there. So there you have a sailor's perspective of a visit to Honolulu in the 1840s. While they were in port, the local leader, King Kamehameha III, approached Captain Percival and said, "I'd like to tour the ship." So Captain Percival toured him all through the decks of Constitution, and King Kamehameha asked to see the guns fire. Constitution carried 4 of the newest naval guns at that time, 4 Paxson guns that fired exploding shells. So Mad Jack was happy to demonstrate for the king. While they were in port, an American missionary named Jarrett Judd was also working for the local government, and he asked Constitution's 2nd Marine Lieutenant, Joseph Curtis, how best to defend Hawaii from attack. So Curtis took the charge to heart. He surveyed the area, he toured the fort that had been built in 1816, he took soundings in the harbor, and while he was working, Constitution got orders to set sail suddenly. The captain's clerk tells us, at Honolulu, we received orders to repair with the least possible delay to the Mexican coast in anticipation of a war with that power. Lieutenant John Dale on board said, "This was a great disappointment to us, who fully expected the ship would return almost directly to the United States. But such is life, especially naval life. Little did we think that the Texas question would so sensibly affect us in the Pacific Ocean." So the crew, already 18 months at sea, sailed from Honolulu over to Mexico, dropped hook in Mazatlan, and it was there that Lieutenant Curtis finished his report. And as he reflected, he advised that a fort at the mouth of the Pearl River would be the best way to defend the islands. He described how to defend Pearl Harbor, and in his report he said, if fortifications are built at all, they ought to be made in such a manner and armed in such a manner as will last for ages. All of us here today know that ultimately many of Constitution's lieutenants' recommendations were enacted in Pearl Harbor. That is the reason that we gather here today to salute the greatest generation that served during World War II, and to share this story linking Constitution to Pearl Harbor, to Cass and Young, to all who served on sailing ships in World War II and who continue to serve today. It's my pleasure now to introduce Constitution's commanding officer, Commander Ship.
Thank you, Ann, and thank you, Michael, for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Navy this afternoon. Welcome, Secretary, Commissioner, veterans, and our friends and family who made a special trip to join us down at Charlestown Navy Yard today as we commemorate the sacrifices and struggles of those who lost so many 77 years ago. The history of December 7th, 1941 is indelibly printed on the memory of every American who was alive that day. But it bears repeating on every anniversary so that every subsequent generation will know what happened and will never forget. The awe-inspiring account of Captain Young's actions aboard the USS Vestal during the attack on Pearl Harbor and his courageous leadership of the USS San Francisco during America's initial assault to turn back the Japanese line of advance in the waters off of Guadalcanal is an awe-inspiring tale. Undoubtedly inspired by his sacrifice, the USS Cass and Young's service to our nation in subsequent campaigns to gain superiority over Japanese forces and screen the assault force seeking to liberate the Marianas Islands, the Philippines, and restore order on Okinawa is the stuff of legend. My own grandfather, Robert Powers Whalen, served aboard an infantry landing craft in the South Pacific, and it is his accounts of the heroic actions undertaken by the Tin Can sailors during World War II that influenced my decision to join the United States Navy 19 years ago. The memory of Pearl Harbor inspired perseverance through the many challenges during the war years. It remains a reminder of the sacrifice of service that members past and present have given. 77 years ago, a surprise attack began against the United States of America, and in less than 2 hours that attack claimed the lives of more than 2,400 Americans, nearly 90% of them sailors and Marines. It has also left 1,200 wounded. Almost 1,200 deaths came from one ship alone, the USS Arizona. Of the 90 ships at anchor that morning, 21 were sunk or damaged, including Arizona and all the other battleships in Pearl. California, Maryland, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Nevada. The Nevada, which despite being damaged, managed to get underway and finally put herself aground on the shores of the channel, rather than sinking and blocking the channel for all those who were escaping to the open ocean. 3 cruisers, 4 destroyers were also sunk or damaged, 188 planes destroyed and another 159 damaged, but most before they could take off. It was, in President Franklin Roosevelt's searing and unforgettable declaration, a day that will live in infamy, pushing us into a world war that would change both the world and warfare irrevocably. But for those whose final resting place is in the waters surrounding Ford Island, and all those who gave their lives that day 77 years ago in service to their country and in the cause of freedom, that fact will never change. They remain in our hearts and in our minds as they were that day, young, strong, and courageous. Although the attack surprised our forces, they immediately started fighting back. We know the stories. The steward above the USS Shaw, with no training, manning a gun, brought down a Japanese aircraft. The machinist, blinded by the explosives, but continuing to rescue sailors caught below the decks of the Nevada. The Army Air Force lieutenant, still in his pajamas, piloting an old P-36 and shooting down another Japanese aircraft. For their actions that day, 15 men, the names of Bennion, Finn, Flaherty, Fuqua, Hill, Jones, Kidd, Ferris, Rees, Ross, Scott, Tomich, and Valkenburg, Ward, and Young were awarded the Medal of Honor. 2/3 of those, 10 of them posthumously. 51 Navy Crosses, 53 Silver Stars, 4 Navy and Marine Corps medals, 1 Distinguished Flying Service Cross, 4 Distinguished Service Crosses, 1 Distinguished Service Medal, and 3 Bronze Stars were also awarded that day. but we know that there were hundreds and hundreds more acts of courageous valor that went unrecorded. As was said later, the action on Iwo Jima, that day in Pearl Harbor, uncommon courage was common valor. Today, America's relationship with the people of Japan is a model for good citizenry and good relationships everywhere. Britain, France, and Germany, once mortal enemies, are now strong democracies, our friends and allies in Europe. Our Navy trains and operates with the Japanese Self-Defense Maritime Force and the other navies throughout the world, including Hawaii, which, during the Rim of the Pacific exercises, the world, with just a few outliers, continues to value security, prosperity, and stability. History continues to show that democracies, in general, work together to foster peace and cooperation around the world. As Prime Minister Winston Churchill encouraged us, look deep into the past, study history, so that we may understand how we are to move forward together. On this December 7th, we will once again remember and honor those who were killed 77 years ago and in the war that followed. Thank you. It is now my pleasure and honor to introduce Massachusetts Secretary of Veteran Affairs, the veteran of the United States Marine Corps, our friend Francisco Urena.
Thank you, Commander Schick, for those kind words of introduction. To Superintendent Creasy, to Senator Rush, which I saw in the audience, to Father Healy and Commissioner Sterling, to President Rand Grimes, and to one and all, thank you for pausing today to honor and remember the attacks on Pearl Harbor. You know, the day has come, and here we are, a day that many of us knew would be coming. Day that we would be here aboard the USS Case and Young without a survivor of Pearl Harbor. And while we do have a handful of survivors across this Commonwealth, we know that their age prevents them from being here. We are a country at mourning as well, with the passing of President George Herbert Walker Bush, one of many from a great World War II generation who followed after the attacks on Pearl Harbor to vow to defend and protect these United States. In that same spirit, I'd like to ask, in the interest of safety, to raise your hands, all of our World War II veterans who are among us and their families, so that we can recognize them and give them a great round of applause. We honor you all today and always. And as time has gone by, you as a generation of World War II have learned to forgive, but not to forget. And not to forget the sacrifices made by the hundreds and thousands who on this December day paid the ultimate sacrifice, and the many who had paid the ultimate sacrifices in the years that followed after those attacks. It is our patriotic duty as citizens to educate the future generations on what the greatest generation did and what sacrifices were made on that Pacific island in Hawaii. Starting with the repelling of the attacks and continuing on with the heroes of Pearl Harbor. The sailors, airmen, Marines, and soldiers on Pearl Harbor set the mold for what future generations would follow, future generations that what we see here today with the officers and sailors of USS Constitution. And I want to give them a great round of applause for their ability to be steadfast. Traditions that men like Case and Young and so many continue to pursue in Pearl Harbor. Today, on this 77th anniversary of the attacks of Pearl Harbor, let us remember those who served, those who were injured, the fallen for their courage, their service, and their sacrifice. 2,896 men would be killed that December day. We honor them, we honor our greatest generation that followed, and it is my true honor to continue to lead our Office of Veteran Services, one that is representative with a veteran service officer in every city and town. We honor the dead by serving our living. We honor the dead by remembering their stories, by honoring their families, for being that aspect of safety net that we owe so many. To all the veterans among us, thank you for your service. To the families, thank you for your continued support. And on behalf of our Governor Charlie Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, 365,000 men and women who have served and donned this nation's uniform and now call Massachusetts home, it is a true privilege to continue to represent them all. On behalf of the city, you too have a strong partner here. Her name is Giselle Sterling, a Marine who has served our nation and who continues to serve this great community, representing all of the neighborhoods in Boston. And it is now my privilege to introduce her. Giselle Sterling, the podium's all yours.
Thank you so much, Secretary Urena. Veterans, friends, families, and all those in attendance, thank you for your support in being here on this historic day. And it's on behalf of Mayor Walsh that I am truly honored to be here on a day to reflect and pay tribute to the memories of those we lost and to support the survivors and the families whose lives were forever changed on this day 77 years ago. I'm grateful to the National Parks of Boston and its partners and stakeholders who continue to honor our history and support those who have endured its making. The tragic events of Pearl Harbor propelled our nation into World War II. Despite the losses of that day and those that would follow, the sacrifices and commitment of our service members are what formed the greatest generation of citizens our country could produce. And it has been that generation that will inspire us all, like Secretary Urena, Commander Schick, and I'm sure many of the veterans here. I know I was personally inspired by the stories of Iwo Jima, Okinawa, Guadalcanal, and enlisted in the Marine Corps as a result. And though I come from a different generation of veterans and confronted a different type of opponent and saw a different type of threat, the sacrifices are felt in the same way. The toll on our families is the same, and the need for support afterwards is the same. And by following the lead of the great generation, we can ensure that our fellow veterans are being honored, served, and supported. Today, we turn our attention to those who have gone before us and the ones that were left behind, and especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Today is a day of respectful remembrance. It is a day of solemn gratitude in the observation of what was lost, what was gained, and the careful attendance of what would follow. I thank you all for taking the time to acknowledge how indebted we are to our veterans of this generation and their families. And to the veterans and families who have endured great loss, I hope that some peace is found in your hearts as this community stands beside you, ensuring that the history and memories of the men and women that have served this great nation will always be remembered. Thank you.
We ask the Apollo Club to sing us the Navy hymn. During that time, we will have a wreath laying ceremony and gun salute.